All right, so let's keep going along. This should be episode 3. We've done a lot. We have done the squares on the outside. We've done this blue set of squares, this little star here. And now we are going to hopefully finish it. So I'm going to open up my reference image just so I see what I need to do. So I've got a couple of things that need to get done. First, this big circle that says start is probably where I'm going to start, but then I need to do these blue bits. I have a blue triangle here with a slide square, another circle at the end. I have these arrows, more arrows here, and it looks like it's the same all across the board, whether it's green or blue or yellow or red. So luckily, it seems like we're probably only going to have to do this the one time. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to click into my stage. Control-Alt+ zooms me in. I might do it one more time. And then let's make a couple of circles. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is you can layer some of these images, which is cool. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to make my perfect circle. I'm going to hold down Shift, draw a circle. Oops, that's a square. Circle, Shift, draw my circle. Line it up real nicely with this one here. Hold down Shift while I resize, keeps it straight and nice and neat. And this looks like it's pretty good. So I'm going to move this away. Let's see, I will do my thick black border. Make it 3 pixels. That sounds good. I'm going to Control-D, duplicate this. And I'm going to hold down Shift while I slightly resize this one. And I'm going to align it with this circle here. I'm going to change that thickness back to, I don't know, let's say 2. So that way we have that little ring on the outside. I do want to make sure that these colors match. So it is, what is this, light blue 1? Yep. So I'm going to do my paint bucket. Light blue 1. And I can double click. And in the middle, I can type in the word start. I'm also going to match my font, too. I forgot what font this is. Brie Serif is what that one was called. So double click, start, highlight. I can center this if I want to. I'm going to use Brie Serif as my font, and I can increase this probably a little bit. 16. Let's see how far we can push it. Oh, just 16, maybe 16.5. Yay, there we go, 16.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these. So I'm going to select by just dragging a selectable area. And I'm going to use my 2-finger click. I'm going to rotate 90 once. Do the same thing. Rotate 90 again. And now I can line these up with that circle. Notice too this little antenna here. I can kind of line this up with this line. I hold down Shift and use my arrow keys to move around until I get it just right, and then I can start, there we go, that's about right. Then I can start moving it up until I have that circle covered just about exactly. Perfect. So we did that. That's cool. Let's see, let's go back to our reference image. What else do we need to do? Let's build our slide. Oh, I didn't mention about the layers. If you're having trouble like with circles behind circles, if I hold down my Control key, so click or press and hold, I can actually use my up and down arrows to move things on top of each other. So I'm holding down Control and I'm pressing down, and there we go. Now that blue circle is behind the white circle, and if I keep holding Control and I press up, I bring it up a layer. Think of it like stacking things on top of each other. Anyway, that's worth touching on in the lesson, so let us move on. Let's see, let's construct this thing here. So what we're going to need to do is we notice it's not on this first square, but it's on the second. There's a triangle, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares it takes up. So let's find a triangle shape, if we can. Do we have a triangle? We do have triangles, so let's draw one. Make it a perfect triangle, so hold down that Shift key. And approximate size is good. Oh, look, it already was the same light blue as before, so that's cool. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. Will that do what I want it to do? Yep, it sure will. Align this in the middle of the squares. That's awesome. And we have a triangle. We can probably even align it, just align it somehow nicely. It doesn't have to be perfect, but close is good. It looks like this line is thick though. Let's thicken up that line a bit. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's good. Now the next part of that is this square with the word slide in it. So we're going to go to our shapes, get a square. It'd be nice if it came out the same color like our triangle did. That'd be very cool. And start where we think it's going to be. And this one doesn't have to be a perfect square. In fact, I've already forgotten how many squares it takes up. So let's go check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ends in the fourth one. So 1, 2, 3. I can extend this to the fourth. Thick black line. Light blue 1. Is this it? Nope, that's, oh, yes it is, that's start. There we go. And I'm going to use that same trick. I'm going to thicken this to 2. I'm going to hold down Control and press down to get it underneath that triangle. I want to make sure it's lined up nice with that triangle. So far, so good. What's next? A circle. I keep pressing the wrong slide, sorry. Shape, circle, perfect circle. Hold down the Shift key and draw it. Align it with your box here. The circle could be a little bit bigger based on my reference image. Hold down Shift to drag that corner a bit. Align it. I think that's going to do it. The line needs to be a bit thicker, as usual. 2 pixels, maybe 3. Let's try 3. I'll go with 3. And then we can fill our light blue. And now we have our little slider, which is pretty awesome. We are missing something. We need to write the word slide in. And for here, I'm probably going to go text box because you notice there's some spacing between the slide. You could probably do this if you double-clicked this square as well, but I don't know if I want to push it. You know what? Let's do it. Double-click. And what I'm going to do, just for the sake of the lesson, I'm going to align it right. Let's go ahead and type in our S, space, 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 L, space, 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 I, space, 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 D, space, 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 E. But I don't know why it's not, well, maybe I have to type in another character, yeah. So I actually typed in a period to get this to move as far as it did. I want the fonts to all be the same, so I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to make it Brie Serif. And this actually ended up being better than I expected. So that's cool. So now I have my slide. I like that. I can live with that. There's also like a weird diamond here, so maybe we should make that. Notice it doesn't have any lines around it. So let's go ahead and make a diamond if we have a diamond. Do we have a diamond shape? Ah, there we go. I found it. And that's going to be on 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make ourselves a diamond. And I don't know if this one has to be a perfect diamond is actually not going to be your friend on this one. So just make sure it matches the height. Put it in the middle of that square if you can, and then use that trick where you hold down Control, and you can start pressing down until you get behind the slide marker. We're going to change the border color from black to transparent, and then that's it for that one. So we did it. We made this thing. Now the last two things we have to make for the blue section are this arrow and this arrow. We didn't do safety zone though. Maybe we should end up doing that at some point. But let's go ahead and focus on the arrows, and then we'll worry about safety zone soon. So this shape does exist in Google Slides. Go to shape. I can't remember where it is though. It might be under arrows. Yep, it's under arrows. It's this one down here. You're going to draw one. Once again, I don't think a perfect one of these is necessarily going to be what I want. So let's align it with this square right in the middle. I believe this first one's blue, and then it goes to a white arrow, and then this one's a white tail that goes to a blue arrow. So blue to white. Dark black. And then you know what? We can just duplicate this. Duplicate. Bring it over to start, right? I'm going to rotate this counterclockwise because we're going from right to left. And then I'm going to change this to... Actually, you know what? I need to figure out what color my squares are. The square is going to be... Oh, look, it's in our theme right here, so I can choose that color down there, the one that's checkmarked. I like to keep uniform colors. All right, and we are lined up with that circle. That's good. Man, we're on a roll. All right, let's keep going. So let's get that arrow, which I believe is in a shape somewhere. We're going to do the same thing pretty much. Do I have an arrow that has like a weird dip in it? I don't know if I do. I might have to make one. Let's keep looking. Let's keep looking. I'm not seeing it like this. So like this is kind of, so this shape that we just used as an arrow that has like sides on it, which is kind of strange and interesting. And if I'm not finding this, like if you see it and you've already used it, good on you. But right now I am having a hard time finding an arrow. So what we're gonna have to do is we're just gonna probably have to draw one. So I'm gonna go to line. I'm gonna do something called polyline, which is strange. So what I notice about this arrow is that it's got a side here, and then it comes to a point. It's like a four-sided triangle. So I'm going to try and recreate that. I kind of wish I hadn't covered up my squares. You know what? Now that I think about it, it doesn't really matter, does it? Oh, I've got one right over here. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. And we're going to go to polyline. I think this is what we're going to do. So we start here, and we click, and we drag over from this point to this point. We let go once it's perfect. And then once we let go, it's going to continue. I'm not actually holding the mouse down on this one. It's waiting for me to click again. So I'm going to click over here, click, then here, click. And then once we finish up this polygon, it turns into a shape. And I can kind of mold it a little bit if I want to. It may not be exactly symmetrical, but it's pretty close. And actually, if I double click it, I can adjust these points here, which is pretty awesome. So I can make it pretty close to symmetrical as I can. Double click, maybe bring this up ever so slightly. That works for me. Dark black line, and it's already the color we want, which is great. So we're going to zoom out, zoom, zoom. We're going to bring this arrow over here. We're going to zoom back in a little bit. Let's see. It goes on this square, and it is going to be white. I'm going to rotate counterclockwise because we're going from right to left. We're going to put it right there. And that looks pretty darn good. So let's duplicate this. Figure out where that goes on this one. So it's start to circle to the next square. Ooh, I must have messed up where my... Oh, I did. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this thing takes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, I sure did. That's okay. We can fix it. So I'm just going to slide this back. I'm gonna just bump this over with my keys. Super easy. My left and right keys. I fixed it. Yay. Go me. All right. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to line this up with the square. Rotate it from right to left, which is counterclockwise. We're going to change this to blue. Light blue 1. We've got it. Now the next thing we do is we need to connect these arrows. So I'm going to use my line tool, but let's go with a curved connector. So if you notice too, when I do a curved connector, it highlights all of the points on my shapes. So I want this. I want to press here. Oops, and it kind of creates this weird line already, and I don't want that. Let's see if we can make this work. Oops. Pressing too many keys. Let's see if I can connect this to my arrow, which I can't. Bummer. Okay, so curved connector is not what I want. Let's try curve, just straight up curve. So we're going to do the same thing. Let's zoom in super close. Let's get to the very end of this arrow. And I think we just click once. So click, and then I let go. And this will follow me where I need it to go. If I hold down the shift key, it'll give me straight lines or like perfect angles. So we're going to do that. We're going to go straight all the way here because we kind of want it to bend around this corner. So let's see if I can line it up with the arrow. Close enough. So I'm going to click there. Just click once. Click. I'm going to let go of my shift key. And I'm going to bring it down to touch this part of the arrow. I'm going to click, and then if I click in the exact same spot again, it should create that line. Now I don't like this too much. Let's see if we can bend this a little bit to where we need it to be. Nope. Undo, double click. Yep, I can adjust my curve points. So that's cool. I'm going to adjust my curve points to make it a little straighter. Bring it down maybe just a little bit. Yep, that is exactly what I want. Change this to black, and we now have exactly what we need. If it bothers you that the slide is covered by this arrow a little bit, you can get rid of some of the spacing between the letters. There we go. That looks right to me. And let's just do the same thing with this one over here. Another curve, start here. And now that we know that the straight line doesn't really help us too much, so we don't have to hold down the shift key, we can just make a point here, make a point there, click once, click twice, and then we can double click and adjust our point ever so slightly. And now, once we get it to where we want it to be, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit left, change the color to black, and ladies and gentlemen, we have created the entire blue side of our board. I think we should be pretty proud of that.